in 5 days, you can finish the entire NCA process.
Wait, I've heard people do it in 3 months, 5 days?
5 days.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite girl here, Ella, GPLM candidate at the University of Toronto. Today we are at the Marriott Hotel downtown Toronto, Liran and I, and we are at the ITL conference, which is a gathering for internationally trained lawyers all over Canada, coming here to network with one another. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Over here we discuss all things law and I speak about my legal journey, transitioning as an internationally trained law graduate into the Canadian system. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back to the channel. Remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I post our videos. And yeah, let's get right into today's video. With me here is Liran.
Hello, Ella.
Everyone say hello, Liran, in the comment section.
I think we've been talking about this interview for a few years now.
Yes, a number of years. Well, Liran is everywhere in the world, so I saw him at the conference 2 days ago, and he was like, "Let's just do this interview." I'm like, "Okay, let's do it here because I don't know when next I'm going to have to see you."
So, I think it's the first time we see each other in Canada.
It's the first time. Okay, everyone's wondering who Liran is. So, who is Liran?
Who am I? Okay, that's a loaded question. So, my name's Liran Kandin, and of course, I'm a lawyer, a mentor.
Businessman.
A teacher, sure, a businessman, a father, and I wear many hats, of course, and I do my best wearing all of those hats, sometimes one at a time, or sometimes I'm juggling hats, so that's kind of who I am. Yeah.
That's great, that's great. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I know that you are also a foreign trained lawyer because you also went to the UK for school, and can you just walk us through that process because you are at the ITL conference as well, so
yes.
How did that happen?
Absolutely. So, if I rewind back to my undergrad years, I immigrated to Canada when I was just a little child, a little baby, and I grew up and spent most of my life here in Toronto. I did my undergraduate degree at the University of Toronto and studied business and business management. And then I worked for a bit, and I ran a couple of companies, and I also worked in the tech industry. I was at IBM, Salesforce, and an opportunity came up to travel and go abroad. The University of Manchester was my choice, and I went to study there, and I did an LLB degree there.
Okay.
This is well before Canadians had been traveling to the UK.
So you were one of the pioneers.
Yeah, before it was a popular thing.
Yeah.
And I met the love of my life there in Manchester. I met my wife, Leah, who was doing a year exchange from France to the UK. We're very different, and she's in the music world. She's a musician, and I'm in the legal world, which is totally different. And that's why it works. That's why it works.
Yeah.
And at the end of my final year, we had to kind of decide what we were going to do. So when that happened, we decided to try our luck in New York City.
New York, okay.
Yeah. So we moved to New York, and I qualified there. And I worked there while my wife was studying. And simultaneously, I went through the NCA process myself and began teaching NCA students from New York.
From New York?
From New York, yes.
Wow.
And I qualified in Ontario as well, but while I was in New York, and I actually did my articles in New York for Ontario.
Oh.
I'd already been a qualified lawyer in New York.
And you took the New York bar as well. I remember you have to say that here. I have to remind you to say
yes, I
can't forget it.
I took the New York bar before I took the Ontario bar.
Ooh.
Yes. And I was called exactly 1 year apart. On January 24th, I don't remember which year now, I don't want to confuse it, but I was called a year apart. And after qualifying, I really enjoyed teaching and what I was doing with the NCAs.
Yes.
And so I thought it made sense for me to go the academic route, and so I wanted to do an LLM. And that's where I applied to the University of Toronto, and I got into their business law LLM stream.
Okay.
Super fortunate. They I had a full scholarship to go,
Wow.
and so I left private practice, and I moved back to Toronto, and it was awesome.
It was awesome.
I love doing my degree there, and then since then, my wife and I have been kind of traveling all over the place. New York is one of them, but France as well, and Canada and the UK, of course. I visit a lot.
So you're a global lawyer.
Global
you're
trotter.
Everywhere.
Global trotter.
Licensed in Canada, licensed in Ontario, and licensed in New York as well. So what made you start up NCA Tutor? Because I know that you said you were teaching students while you were in New York, but was that what birthed NCA Tutor for NCA candidates?
Yeah, so it's a funny story. It's a story I've told before, so maybe some of your listeners might have heard it if they were Birmingham, perhaps.
No, not everyone. No? Not everyone in Birmingham.
So when I was studying at the University of Manchester, there was a large group of Canadians in my class. Not really large, not by today's standards, where, okay.
Not 200.
Large is more than a handful.
Okay.
And we hung out a lot because of, obviously there was an age gap between the Canadians and the the British students who were around 18, and we were older. So we hung out a lot together. We social activities together, but we also studied together.
Okay.
And when I say studied, it means I studied, and
everyone looked up on you.
And then I would teach it to my friends. Okay,
wow.
That was my way of learning, and it was their way of learning.
Okay.
And if I knew if I could teach it to someone, then I've absorbed it and internalized it. And so I would make notes, and we'd have little study sessions together, and that's how that's how we did our 3 years together. And then we came back to Canada. We were studying together for the NCAs in the same way that we studied in Manchester, except that this time, they were inviting friends and this and that, and so slowly there was, people were coming to sessions, which was entirely free. It wasn't a business, and I didn't intend for it to be a business. I prepared notes for all of the core subjects, and for about 5 years, I gave out my notes entirely free. And so thousands of students had used my notes, and then eventually, someone suggested, hey, why don't you just put your name on the notes and suggest that you can do tutoring? And I thought, why not? Because New York was quite expensive, and
of course.
it was good to make supplemental income. And so I did that, and people started contacting me. And the NCA began to update their syllabi.
Yes.
And as they updated their syllabi, a bunch of requests were coming through. Hey, please update the notes. Hey, please do this. I'm like, well, it's a lot of work. It's about 100 hours at least 100 hours. You got to get new textbooks and all this. And so I began to charge for study materials, which I hadn't done before. I was still handing out some of the subjects for free because they were the same notes that I'd used for my exams.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the demand came, word of mouth came. We had big classroom space. We had classroom space in North York, but then we moved downtown. We had a place on Yonge and College where we were teaching, very large classroom space. And then COVID hit.
Virtual world comes.
It rocked my world. It crashed, and everything had to change. And I don't know if that's one of your questions, but
I like how you're telling the story.
Sure. So I'll continue. So yeah, of course, COVID changed. And this was, by and large, by that time, it was my full-time endeavor, right? Sometimes it was part-time. At the very beginning, it wasn't intended to be a business, but then I went all in, especially after my LLM. I decided to really enjoy this thing that I was doing. It was incredibly rewarding. And so I went all in, and when COVID hit, it was very frightening because exams stopped for 6 months.
Yes.
And there were no more exams, and so classes stopped, and we had to rethink the process. Are they going to restart or not restart? And so that was quite worrying. But at the time, I was working on the board of directors of a publicly traded company, so I had another job at the same time.
Okay.
I remember that.
That's good.
At that point in time.
You needed it. Huh? You needed it.
And of course, classes restarted, and we started doing classes fully online.
Okay.
and that's kind of one of the major shifts that happened was 2020. Of course, there's another major shift that happens later this year, actually in 2026, which we can talk about later. But yeah, that was one of the big shifts, and we went online, but our reach grew as well when we went online. So now it was reaching
beyond North York. And Toronto.
I did have students online, but there weren't. It wasn't as large as it was.
Before COVID.
It hit a big pinnacle because now the exams are online. And having the exams online meant that people could be writing from all over the world.
Anywhere in the world, yes.
All over the world,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Before, there was just two testing centers outside of Canada. There was one in the UK in London, if I recall, and there was one in India in Delhi. And so there were students in those time zones, and I did have some. But after COVID, it expanded to Hong Kong, to a lot of places.
That's good.
And so that was a big change. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Well, thank you for taking us through your story, and I love how everything flowed into your reasoning why it wasn't originally a business at first, but you found that you were really, really good at it, and people also saw value in what you were doing. So it speaks to something about what you've used your degrees for, both the ones that you had from Manchester and then the degree you also had, the international business law degree that you had from the UK as well, from UofT as well, the LLM.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to apologize to our listeners because I was a little distracted for a moment, but
that's fine.
I think our Supreme Court Justice just walked by.
He walked by twice.
He walked by twice.
He walked by when you were talking, and he literally
he made eye contact. So it's a bit it's not every day.
Wait,
you have
a Supreme.
Yes, Supreme
He's on
Court.
the Supreme.
Yes, Supreme Court Justice.
That's why we were talking about the RCMP coming.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
okay.
So while we were interviewing here, I was a little distracted.
That's okay. It's the SCC. SCC is here, anyways. So, you. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
Yes, the Supreme Court threw me off as well.
I know.
It's okay.
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know about the NCA, if you're an internationally trained lawyer, you have to go through the NCA process, and if you want to be self-taught, you need the NCA Tutor. And this is the NCA Tutor himself in person. So, and you've now heard that you can access it from anywhere in the world. So, if you're on Earth, right?
On Earth,
you should
yes.
be able to access NCA Tutor. Is there any particular time that people should say, okay, this is a great time. I'm thinking of starting the NCA process in July. When should I start reaching out to NCA Tutor to start helping me with this process? Where do I go to? Where do I find them?
Yeah, so I think that question will depend on you individually and how you want to work it. But typically, I'll talk about the major change that happened in 26 because I think that affects the timing.
Okay.
So in 2026, as more and more students went through the the law school during COVID, they were used to classes online as well, and sometimes recorded classes and on demand. And over the years, I've continuously gotten more requests. Can you offer your courses on demand? And I have hesitated for many years to do that. Even at the expense of my students, meaning students in Hong Kong would have to wake up in the middle of the night to sometimes
doing it live.
I was doing it live always, and so they'd have to wake up at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. Very inconvenient times. And finally, in 2026, we decided, okay, it's time that we offer our courses on demand, so it can be more accessible to students with learning disabilities, students all over the world. They're broken down into small particular concepts. The videos are broken. It's very well organized. And so we've had this massive change happen.
Okay.
Now, in terms of timelines and taking courses and reaching out, when classes were live, and they're still live, by the way. We still have live components. I still kept live question and answers. Okay, so they're
some people might want that.
That's correct. So although you can watch it at your own pace, you still have access to me in live video sessions where we do Q&A and our exam workshops. Some of them are still live. So the timing prior to having on-demand courses was we would start our courses about 5 to 6 weeks before the examinations.
Okay.
Then that timing started to move up slightly. the reason it was 5 to 6 weeks is prior to COVID, there was just one examination period, which was Monday to Friday, 4 times a year. And so you had 2 exams per day, a morning session and an afternoon session, 5 days a week. And many students during those 5 days could write 1 exam, could write 5 exams. I even had students writing 8 exams in those 5 days. So imagine in 5 days, you can finish the entire NCA process.
Wait, I've heard people do it in 3 months, 5 days?
5 days. And not to plug our YouTube channel, but on our YouTube channel, if you go to NCA Tutor, you'll see, if you click on our live tab, you'll see an interview I did with 3 students back in 2020. This was during COVID, where there were no more exams. I said, okay, let's talk to students who wrote between 5 to 8 exams.
Yes.
And so in that segment, you can see 3 students. Some were working full time, some weren't, and they still managed to write 5 exams in 5 days.
And how did they do?
They all passed. The 3 of them passed their exams. So it just shows you. Now, after COVID, when exams went online, managing thousands of students in one sitting became difficult. And so they took the examinations like constitutional law, administrative law, criminal, all the mandatory courses.
Yes.
And they said, we're going to offer this exam over several days. And so they needed a longer period of examination. So they took the 5 days and they stretched it over 3 months.
Okay.
What's happened now is it's still the same examination schedule, meaning the core courses are still offered, the examinations are still offered 4 times a year. It's just that instead of a 5-day examination period, it's now a 3-month period.
Okay.
And so when students ask me, hey, can I write, 5 exams, what's the quickest I can finish the NCA process? You can do it within 3 months. It is possible. Okay. But you should do it at your own pace. There's no need to rush.
Yes, because you have 5 years for the NCA.
5 years. So. And I know I'm talking about more things than you asked me, so I'm throwing off your questions here. But
it's okay.
Typically you want to study no earlier than, I wouldn't go later than 6 weeks before an examination. Okay. Because now you're just focusing on 1 or 2 exams. It's not as difficult, there's not as much
content you can cover.
No, it's not that there's not as much content. There's not as much pressure of writing 5 exams at once. Yes. So you don't need the full, 6 weeks or 8 weeks as it was before, where we would study, we would start a lot earlier. So now we start about, 4 or 5 weeks before the exam is a good time to start studying for each exam.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for giving us a breakdown, Liran. I know that this will be very helpful for anyone who's even just hearing about the NCA. You've broken it down so well, and they know now where to find you. You can find Liran on LinkedIn. I'll put his LinkedIn up on here, and NCA Tutor and all of that. You will have all the details in the description box, as well as the YouTube channel for the NCA process, for the NCA Tutor. I know that you do NCA Tutor, but that's not the only business-related law thing that you do. You also have LexPD.
Yes.
I want to know how that was birthed about, and what is LexPD for anyone who's just hearing it for the first time.
Sure. So LexPD it stands for Lex Professional Development Group Inc. And NCA Tutor is actually a division of LexPD. But LexPD focuses more on the Ontario bar exams, the licensing exams, supporting candidates through that process. Mentoring candidates, supporting them through the examination strategy, tips on studying. We have students who we hire every single year to work on indices, which we've been, we've curated over a very long period of time. So these indices are, they're good because we keep building on the prior year students every year, and they get the support of 2 lawyers. Meaning we help them, we explain how they're supposed to create it, and they use their materials to update our indices. So we offer indices, and they're quite popular, and we also offer CPD courses for licensed lawyers.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we're a pre-accredited CPD provider at the LSBC, the Law Society of British Columbia, and then we also have courses that we get accredited for at the LSO.
Okay, that's great. So, through your years of doing the NCA Tutor, and then with LexPD now in space, have you found any way where you've seen this student used NCA Tutor, and now they're coming back to LexPD to use those services in Ontario?
Yes, I mean, yeah, most most of the students who go through NCA Tutor will, come to us for the bar exams as well, and then hopefully we'll see them in CPD courses as well. And we're still building that out and bringing more content, as the years go by. So we hope on our YouTube channel, we actually have some accredited programs, and they're free. They're available, so you can watch them. You can get professionalism hours. You can get EDI hours as well. So that's on our YouTube channel, and it's out there. Any lawyer can access them and get their hours through that as well. So, but yes, certainly students who've come through the NCA Tutor program, of course, it's natural that they'll seek our help through LexPD.
And do you find that when people are done with the NCAs and they've passed all their exams, they've gotten their NCA certificates of qualification, they just want to get onto the bar exams immediately? Or do you find that there's a gap?
There are some people who are working and they need to work for financial reasons, or they have a family to support or something like that. So some may take some time. There are students who completely stop the process because the certificate of qualification that you receive from the National Committee on Accreditation doesn't expire.
Yes.
Right? And once you start the licensing process with the LSO, you've got 3 years to complete it currently. That's the current time frame you have. And so, they've decided, well, I finished this process. I can now put it aside and continue doing what I was doing. So I have some students who are in businesses and different things, and this wasn't a priority, but at least they got the accreditation out of the way. And they did that before, now the NCA might introduce new requirements, right? So March 1st this year, there are a whole bunch of new requirements, including English language proficiency,
Indigenous law,
Indigenous people and the law. And so there are new requirements, and that comes about. And of course, the new requirement a few years ago was the legal research and writing.
Of course,
right? So it's good to get that process out of the way. Once you have your certificate of qualification, as far as I know, we've had confirmation from at least the LSO that that certificate doesn't expire. That doesn't expire, which is great.
That's good. So, and for people who want to take the bar exams, when should they be thinking of contacting LexPD? Is it still the same 6-week window like the NCA that you would advise?
No, for the bar exam,
probably longer.
Particularly for internationally trained lawyers, there is, although the Law Society of Ontario doesn't produce a lot of information about the examinations, they're very secretive about how these examinations are conducted. But there was a report issued many years ago called the Dialogue on Licensing, when they were considering revamping the licensing process many years ago, which they're considering again. They released some statistics as to the pass rates for the exams and how many students pass and how many do not. And there's a significant disparity between Canadian trained lawyers and internationally trained. And those stats are the gap is very big. Yes, there's about a 50% pass rate in the ITL space, as opposed to about an 87% pass rate in the Canadian space.
Huge gap. That's a huge gap.
So I do, when it comes to training my students who have gone through NCA Tutor, I focus and I emphasize the exam strategies, because I know where that gap lies, and I know how I can help those students close that gap significantly. I don't think internationally trained lawyers should be worried about that exam. More than half are passing, so it's not a fear. But it's a matter of understanding the examination, understanding the strategy on how to tackle it, and that's where my emphasis and focus is in their studies.
All right, thank you so much for giving us wonderful details about NCA Tutor and LexPD as well. I will switch up the questions before we round up now. So you're running these multiple businesses, majorly in Canada, but all over the world, like it's centered towards becoming licensed in Canada. What are some challenges that you find on the business side? Because there could be somebody watching now, they might want to be a lawyer in the future, but they're looking at Liran and saying, oh, that's something that I want to do in the future. I want to open some businesses around the world. What are some challenges that you think?
I don't know if I call them challenges.
Hurdles.
You know, there are hurdles, but there are ways to work through the hurdles.
Okay.
For me right now, I think that my family being my priority. So I've been doing this for over 14 years now.
Wow.
And of course, I didn't have kids early on, and this was quite intense when I was doing it early on.
I can imagine.
Now that there's been a shift to on demand, I have a little bit more liberty to work on materials, update our materials, and study. But I think it's the work-life balance, which you'll find in any,
job, any career,
any career, where now my children are little. I have 4 now. Thank God, I've got 4 kids, and so that takes up and they're all quite little in age, and so I do want to be there for them. I do want to spend time for them, and we're in different parts of the world, and so there's a time difference, and there are those challenges to work through. But I make it happen because it's my business. I can decide when things happen, and so again, they're just small hurdles. You just figure out how to work through them. But again, on demand has allowed me to now focus on my time, flexibility, focus on my family.
That's amazing.
It couldn't come at a better time. So
that's amazing. And so let me flip that. What are some of the rewards? I know that you enjoy teaching and all of that, but beyond that, what are some of the rewards for you? Because it looks like you're living in your passion, because you wouldn't be flying all over. I literally met him in Birmingham last year, and now I'm seeing him here, and I don't know where next I will be in the world and I would find Liran. So what are some rewards for you?
So yes, so I'll touch on the Birmingham side. So it's going to be 6 years now that NCA Tutor teaches at Birmingham Law School.
Yes.
We provide a
summer school.
We provide a summer school program for the Canadian students, and some UK students who are interested in practicing in Canada. We provide a program to them, and just being in front of a classroom, I loved law school. I loved being in university. I love opening up a book and learning something new. And I love when students ask me questions, certainly ones I don't know the answer to, because then I have to look it up and I have to research. And so I'm still in the world of academia, which is a reward for me, because I'm not stagnant, I'm not still, I need to keep growing.
Yes.
And so that's one of the personal rewards. The major reward for me, though, is just I can't believe I've been doing this 14 years.
14 years, that's a long time.
Over 3,500 students have gone through our program, our courses. Tens of thousands have used our materials to help them prepare for their exams.
Yes.
So I've seen a lot of lawyers in the making.
You've made a lot of them.
No, I haven't made them, but I've seen a lot of lawyers in the making. I've seen a lot of lawyers. I've seen a lot of lawyers in the making, and it's just so refreshing. The conversations I've had at this conference, I've known these people over a decade. They're panelists now, and they're mentoring students now.
Wow.
And I was their teacher over 10 years ago, over 12 years ago, over 13, and it's amazing. It's incredible. They've got successful careers. They're practicing. They're living life. And for me, it's amazing that I saw them before all this, and that I told them that they will be there.
Yeah. And
now they believe me. And now they believe me, and they're like, I remember you said that.
That's wonderful.
And so everyone's time will come. I know that sometimes as a student you're nervous and you're like, oh, I want to finish quickly. I want this. I need to be successful. I have debts, and just take it slow and really try and enjoy the moment. Enjoy where you are. Enjoy law school. Enjoy these exams, because once the bar is over, it's probably but it's probably your last exam that you'll ever do, and that's kind of there's some. It's
I want to get there. I want it to be my last exam.
It's yeah, but you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it.
I'm not gonna miss it.
You're gonna miss it. I miss it. So maybe that's why I did 2 bars.
2 bars, yeah. I'm just doing 1 for now.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. This will lead us nicely into our, I think, semi-final question.
Sure.
Which is, what advice do you have for internationally trained lawyers or internationally trained law graduates like myself who are coming into Canada and beginning this licensing process? You found your passion very, early, and seeing that you enjoyed teaching and you created something out of that. But not many people might be able to figure out what their strengths are, and they might feel intimidated by the process of joining the Canadian legal system. So
Yes.
what advice do you have for anyone who's watching?
Take in as much as you can. There are resources out there, such as Ella's,
YouTube
Ella's channel.
Yes.
Of course, she's
Yes.
got a lot of valuable resources, but there are others too.
Yes.
And listen to as many people as you can. Try and find yourself a mentor. When I say find yourself a mentor, maybe make yourself a mentor. Don't expect a mentor to just appear. You have to work at it. And you have to find someone that's going to be interested in your story, someone that's going to care for you.
Yes.
And so networking is so important for an internationally trained lawyer who's particularly not from Canada, an immigrant lawyer, because you don't have your classmates, your Canadian classmates that you can rely on and phone up, hey, you're at this law firm, can you help me out? Can you give me a contact? So you don't have that. So you have to make the connections, and there are many organizations and conferences you can go to meet other people.
Like the
You don't
ITL
have to worry that they're students, because they will become lawyers one day. The bar is small, despite the fact that Ontario has quite a large bar. We're many lawyers in Ontario, but it's still very small in comparison to other jurisdictions. You never know who you're going to meet again at some point in the future.
Like the Supreme Court judge that just walked by.
Supreme Court judge.
I've never been. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'm excited to speak to him actually, because we both studied under the same prof.
Wow.
And so I want to chat with him about that. But yeah, so make those connections, find the connections you have with somebody, and plant the seeds everywhere. And more importantly, when you're connecting and when you're networking with somebody, try and be genuine. Try and be authentic yourself, and try and think about what you can offer someone. Try not to make everything about you, because if you're valuable and you can make yourself valuable to someone else, if you find out what your strengths are, that can be, a good connector, to make a connection.
Yeah.
Ella and I've known Ella for a couple of years now. I met her at Birmingham. I maybe even interviewed her at one point.
You did, and I didn't get the role. I didn't get the role.
Yeah, but that's okay.
But that's okay. When I'm interviewing you today,
you were not bitter, and we're friends.
No, I wasn't
today.
bitter. No, I wasn't.
And so, and now we're doing this.
Yes.
And so Ella might think, well, I'm a student. What can I offer? Well, you're offering a platform for me to talk to internationally trained lawyers. That's highly valuable for me. Right? You're platforming me, and I think that's highly valuable. You've made a connection. Now I know Ella. I know her by first name. It's not the first time I've seen her, but she keeps planting that seed, and she's not like, well, what's in it for me, right? But I'm just saying that, and if one day Ella is now interviewing at a law firm and she's on LinkedIn, she's like, oh, I'm a second connection to that person. Liran is our common connection. Let me ask him who this person is. Exactly. Maybe he can introduce me, right? And so that's how things work.
You're right.
And I think you should keep doing what you're doing because you're on the right path.
Thank you.
Don't be discouraged.
Thank you.
And you're going to do great things. I know that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Liran. I appreciate you. I appreciate the perspective you bring to the channel too, because I share most of my perspective, but I don't know everything. So I like to bring diverse people on here so other people can see other stories and see that there are different pathways to this law thing that we're doing. And although I'm in the GPLM program, my path is different. There are more people out there who want to self-study for the NCA, and I know that this video will be very helpful in shedding the light on there's NCA Tutor out there for you to study with. There's LexPD, so never feel that you're alone. You can find Liran is everywhere on LinkedIn. You can find him and start making those connections. My final question would be, I usually like to ask people I interview if they have questions for me, because I prepared all the questions and I feel bad.
Yes.
So I like to ask if you have any questions. You just get one question.
Oh, wow.
Not like me that has so many.
I mean, I think I might know the answer. Well, no, I don't. I don't. I mean, what drove you to start this channel?
YouTube? Oh,
Yes,
well,
yes, that's what I want to know.
that's fine. I get the question a lot.
Yeah.
So before going to the UK for law school, I'm an avid researcher and I enjoy YouTube. I was looking for opportunities for videos of people who have lived the experience to learn from them. I like to weigh my options, the good, the bad, the ugly, and let me see if I make that final decision. I found a couple of channels, about one or two. The people had about 2 or 3 videos about going, like they were in the UK, but they never continued. And it bothered me a lot because when I start something, I like to see it going and
Yes,
possibly
and the
to the
progress.
end. I was like, why are these people stopping? Did they
Yes.
finish the degree? Did they come back to Canada? Did they get married? Like, what happened? I just, because some people, my classmates
You're
got
not married.
No,
You're not married
I'm
yet.
not married.
So you're gonna have to do this until you're married now.
Well, they'll see the ring eventually.
I'm gonna hold you to
That's
it.
me. That's
I'm gonna
I
hold
will.
you to it now.
I will. But like a couple of peers of mine remained in the UK for love. So
Okay.
I know their story. So I'm like, what happened with this channel? What happened to their legal journey?
Yes.
Prior,
They
And
became lawyers. They became busy.
They became busy. And so yes, I was like, I'm going to be that person that documents my entire system to show people out there, because especially if you don't know anyone that's a lawyer, I don't come from a family of lawyers here in Canada, but it would have been nice to have somebody to guide me. And if I don't, sometimes you never know what questions to ask until you're in certain spaces. So I said, okay, I'm going to be that light for people who have no one else to guide or direct them and they don't even know what they're doing. It was a cautious effort to film everything from my departure, in fact, from my visa interview. I was leaving here, I filmed like the whole process, leaving Canada, the flight, everything, because I needed people to see the behind the scenes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Law school is not like a TikTok fun video. It's more than that. And so when I got in, I finished the first year, I wasn't getting a lot of views, and I wouldn't lie, that was a bit discouraging because I'm like, the people I want to reach, they're not reaching.
Yeah.
But in my second year at Birmingham, 1L started coming in from Canada, and people started approaching me on campus. I saw your video, it helped me. Like, these people wouldn't comment, so I wouldn't know if anyone is actually watching. But they're like, this video helped me, this video helped me, this video helped me, you spoke about this. And I'm like, people are actually listening to me and they're implementing what I'm saying. Like, I applied for the Brom scholarship. I watched your video, Brom is UOB, and I got the scholarship. So it's like, what I'm saying, it's impacting lives. And I've just been continuing on. And I got into UofT, and I've met people who are coming in and saying, I've started watching your video, I see you're in UofT now, I'm going to do what you're doing, how do I get in? So I can see that I'm making that impact. That's what matters to me, and that's the reason why I started, and that's the reason why I'm still continuing on. So I will be doing it when I get married.
You caught the bug that I caught, and that's the exact same reason.
Okay.
Yes, because it's incredible to see someone turns to you and says, hey, that was incredibly helpful, that changed my life, that did something. And I don't think there's more meaningful work than that. Right? More rewarding.
I agree. Well,
lovely.
Thank you so much, Liran, for agreeing to this interview, and it was so wonderful to see you here at the conference. I hope you all have enjoyed the interview today with Liran. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. If I can answer them, I'll answer. Otherwise, I'm forwarding you to NCA Tutor to answer the questions. But let us know what your favorite part of the video is. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Tell them to subscribe, Liran. Subscribe now. Subscribe now. And thank you so much. Have a good one, and I'll catch you all in my next video. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. We finished 4 minutes before time.
Lovely.